Sony can't stop making mistakes, and they've continuously digressed into a company that I don't have a ton of faith in terms of their consumer practices or in terms of them investing into a game that's going to come out and actually succeed. I think they've been making a lot of wrong decisions, and they've been holding back a lot of good decisions that I think could be easy money makers for them. Let's start with the Concord situation, where they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a brand new IP that everybody knew was going to fail before it even came out for numerous reasons directly after the first trailer launched. On top of this, there's games like Bloodborne that they definitely could just make a second one. They have the rights to that property, and they just are deciding either not to remaster it for a 60 FPS version on PC or even on the PlayStation, and just deciding to just not make a second one either and completely throw out Bloodborne in contention, despite From Software saying that they would obviously like to make another Bloodborne game. On top of this, they have now come out and are trying to buy From Software and buy Katakawa Games, who also owns a lot of properties within the anime space, which could just be a completely lose-lose for both of them, in them really directing From Software to put different microtransactions within their games and go in a direction that From Software doesn't necessarily want to go into. Now, on top of this, they have another game that I don't understand why they made in the first place. I don't necessarily know who it's for. That is also pretty much a failure and actually has lower concurrent players than Concord when it initially released, and that is LEGO Horizon Adventures. But before we get into the story and my take on the whole situation, thank you guys so much for 800 subscribers. We are on our way to 900, and I'm really appreciative of your guys' support. If you're interested in any gaming news with RPGs and action adventure games and you like the video you see here, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. Now, let's get into the content. So getting right into it, new PlayStation game is performing worse than Concord on Steam, and this is on Game Rant, published just a day ago by Daniel Morris. And to start off, he says LEGO Horizon Adventures has gotten off to a very slow start on Steam, amassing a lower all-time high player count than flop hero shooter Concord on the platform. It's still early days for LEGO Horizon Adventures, but these initial numbers continue a worrying trend for PlayStation Studios on Steam. And I will like to say this is only on Steam. I'm sure LEGO Horizon Adventures has many more players than what it has currently over on the PlayStation console, especially that's where most people who are in love with the Horizon franchise are really playing these games. Earlier this month, LEGO Horizon Adventures launched to mixed reviews, with confusion over who the game is actually for. Some critics felt that it would appeal neither to LEGO or Horizon fans, leaving it in an odd place of limbo. Player reception hasn't been much better either. Steam reviews are currently marked as mixed, with just 58% of reviews sitting at positive at the moment. This could all change with future updates, but as of right now, this reception is being reflected in its player count. And yes, I definitely agree with this. I don't understand why there's a game like Horizon getting like a remaster already, multiple games within the main franchise, as well as now a LEGO version, and then there's supposedly a multiplayer Horizon game also coming out on top of this. They are leaning very heavily into Horizon, and I don't know if you guys are the same as me, but I don't know too many people who are huge fans of Horizon. If you look at what I mentioned earlier, a game like Bloodborne hasn't gotten anywhere near this type of treatment, with not a second game, not a remaster, not a spin-off, nothing. And that game, in my opinion, and FromSoft games in general, especially now after Elden Ring, have one of the biggest player bases and die-hard fan bases of any game company or any game type on Earth. And I don't understand why they're not getting the same treatment as games like, or at least franchises like Horizon. Going into the next paragraph here, according to SteamDB, they have just managed 602 concurrent players, lower than Concord, upon its launch, and the number has only declined since then. Over the most recent weekend, it peaked at 150 players, which is rough by any metric. For a grim comparison, canceled hero shooter Concord hit almost 700 players, which won't make for pretty reading for PlayStation Studios, given how LEGO and Horizon are both big names among gamers. It's somewhat surprising that the number is this low, even with the critical reception. Now, I do want to say there's no way they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on LEGO Horizon Adventures, or at least anywhere close to what they spent on Concord. But it is very surprising because not only is LEGO Horizon Adventures an IP that people people do know and love, specifically on the PlayStation console. But it's very surprising just because in general, that's a very low player number. It's hard for any game, let alone one that is an existing IP, to get below at least 1,000. If you can't even hit 1,000 and then you're already dipping down to 150 players, you're in dangerous territory of making absolutely no money on the game you just released. Now, again, on PlayStation, it might have way more players. I have no idea, but I'm assuming it doesn't have that many more players on PlayStation either, or at least a number of players that's really going to get them a return on what they spent on this game, no matter what it may be. Now, I also want to say that LEGO Horizon Adventures is obviously not a live service game. I don't believe people are jumping into this expecting to play this game for the next 6 to 7 years or in the long term in general. So in that point, the game isn't necessarily going to die like Concord did. They're not going to shut down the servers. The game is still going to be able to be played by people, maybe during Christmas time or something like that. Kids are going to be able to get this game and then play it. Because I believe this game is definitely obviously tailored more towards a child audience that can then grow up into loving this franchise and playing the other games as well. I believe it's one of those games that if you play this as a kid, if you get a little bit older, they're going to start trickling into the main Horizon games and playing those as well. So I think in terms of that strategy, I don't think it's a bad idea, but how many kids are really going to be doing that if the game's only, played by 600 people, at least on Steam? Since making a conscious effort to bring its games to PC, PlayStation Studios has had a mixed success rate on the platform. Many of its games have flopped on Steam, with low concurrent player counts for many. Even Ratchet & Clank failed to break the 9,000 concurrent players. LEGO Horizon Adventures isn't the lowest ever. That title belongs to Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. I literally don't even know what that is, with 191 players. But still, with the name value of LEGO and Horizon, it should be able to achieve a better number than 602. Absolutely should be 100%. It hasn't been all doom and gloom for PlayStation Studios on PC, though. It's worth remembering that Helldivers 2 is one of the biggest hits of the year, and games like Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, and Marvel's Spider-Man all performed extremely well on Steam. Overall, it has been great to get these previously exclusive titles on PC, and hopefully PlayStation Studios will see the highs as being worth the lows. But I do want to say as well, going back to Helldivers, this was a big issue with PlayStation as well, with them requiring PlayStation Network accounts just to play Helldivers, and they originally walked that back, but they still had to put their Sony stamp on things when you just couldn't play it in other countries that you couldn't get a PlayStation Network account in, and that they made sure that they did, even though they reverted the PlayStation Network requirement for Helldivers. And going over to the reviews, as the article said, you can see just a 71 on Metacritic for critic reviews and 5.5 user reviews. 5.5 is very close to what we see on Steam, with 56% being overall positive, but very mixed as a whole. And what I've seen most people say about the game, and you can check out the Steam reviews that will definitely hold up what I'm about to say as well after reading a lot of these, is basically the game doesn't have a lot of substance. It lacks pretty much anything in terms of the creative aspect that people were looking for, and is just such a bland game with nothing more to it than a kind of slop down Horizon game that they just turned into LEGO that is a little bit more kid friendly. Now, I haven't played the game myself, so who knows, I might enjoy it, but it's definitely not a game for me, and altogether I don't think this is a game for most people. I don't think it looks like it's a game for LEGO fans. I don't think it looks like it's a game for Horizon fans. It looks like it's a game for a child audience that they want to kind of nurture into playing the actual Horizon games and the mainline games in this franchise. But this is altogether just another mistake by Sony, where they're putting their money into a project that's not going to get them return, instead of a project that a lot of people have been begging for, and the studio actually wants to make. Something like Bloodborne and something within that franchise. And I think this is just another example, another showing from Sony that they don't know what to do with their IPs, they don't know what decisions to make as a company, and they're going downhill and losing all of their faith from a lot of the players who have been playing their games for years and years and years. Thank you guys for watching the video. I would love to hear down low what you guys think in the comments. Have you played this game? Is it enjoyable? Do you not even know this game came out? Are you looking at this game but just decided not to play it? What do you think about the player player base numbers? Do you think it's going to be overall a success in terms of getting people to play the other Horizon games, or later during Christmas when people start buying games more often and maybe purchasing Lego Horizon to play over the holiday? Let me know all of your guys' thoughts down below in the comments. I would love to hear them and have a discussion in the conversation. Like the video if you like the video, and subscribe for more. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!